In today's gaming news, Bethesda offers a Wolfenstein Collector's Edition that doesn't include the game, Microsoft punishes bad behavior by taking away your privileges, and giant corporations are buying up everything you love. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is Force with your day's gaming news. First up today, Bethesda just revealed a new collector's edition for Wolfenstein The New Order that includes a lot of things but is missing one important part. Titled a Wolfenstein The New Order Panzerhund Edition, it's got an assortment of maps and case files, an 8-inch statue, 14 full-color weathered-looking postcards, embroidered patches, and dog tags. That's a lot of stuff, but there's something missing. And that is, of course, the game itself. When I first heard this, I thought, this is absurd. They're going to offer pre-orders, and they're going to offer collector's editions that don't even include the game, and they're going to sell the game separately? But then I thought to myself, well, actually, this just means that if you just want the game, you can just buy the game, and if you're someone who likes to collect all that extra junk and have it collect dust, you can do that too. So, when I really think about it, it's not that big of a deal. It's also worth noting they aren't hiding the fact that the game is not included. It's said right on the product page in bold lettering, the game is not included in this purchase. Buyer beware, all the information is there. Is that a saying? I just made it up. But anyways, yes, a collector's edition for Wolfenstein The New Order is available. Comes with a bunch of stuff, doesn't include the game, and at the end of the day, as long as it's clear, I actually think that that's something that's okay. Next up in news, Microsoft revealed its reputation system for Xbox One mid last year, in which they talked about how you could rate people you played with, and then over the course of time you would get a rating system, and there'd be positive effects for people who rated well, and negative effects for people who rated poorly. Well, more details on that system were revealed today on an article posted up on Xbox.com. Going into detail, we found out that there are 3 tiers of reputation: good, needs work, and avoid me. When you fall into the needs work tier, you will be issued a warning. When you fall into the avoid me tier, you will have some of your privileges taken away. Some of the things that will come with that are increased matchmaking time, as you will be matched with other people who are in that low bracket of scummy players, or just people who got exploited and had lots of people give them negative feedback over a long period of time. And you're going to have privileges taken away, like your ability to stream on Twitch. Now, on one hand, this is the most hysterical and best thing I could think could happen to people who are scummy players. On the other hand, this is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard if it turns out to be easily exploitable. Who knows how this is going to actually pan out? We'll have to see once it comes into effect and we start to hear stories popping up of people having their privileges taken away and crying as a result. And last up in news today, speaking of crying, there's been a lot of crying on the internet for the past 24 hours over the news that Facebook has purchased the Oculus Rift. Yes, for $2 billion, Facebook now has acquired Oculus Rift and everything that entails. They're evidently still giving creative freedom and the ability for the original company owners to run the company as they desire, but there's been lots of concerns raised, and even popular figures in the industry, people like Notch of Minecraft fame, have come out to speak against this acquisition, saying that he doesn't agree with Facebook, he doesn't trust Facebook, and as a result he's backing out of his endorsement of the Oculus Rift. And there's a whole bunch of forum chatter, people concerned about just Facebook's implementation of apps and stuff or whatever into the Oculus Rift, worried about privacy concerns because we already have those sort of concerns on Facebook. And you know, all that tinfoil hat stuff, some of it may be legitimate, other ones stretching out a little bit far beyond that. And then there's of course the concern of Facebook. What does that have to do with gaming? And besides Farmville and crap, like why do they want the Oculus Rift? Well, what we've read, so I've read numerous articles on this over the past few hours, and what I can tell is that they're really interested in things like the virtual classroom or experiencing courtside of a basketball game while being thousands of miles away. They're interested in sort of more non-gaming aspects of it, although Mark Zuckerberg has come out and stated that they're not going to inhibit and stop the gaming aspect of the Oculus Rift from going forward. In fact, they hope to support it. So there's a lot of negative. There's been a lot of negative about this, but I'd like to highlight a positive, and I'd like to just address something that I think it's important to keep in mind. The fact that this has enough interest for a major corporation like Facebook to invest $2 billion into acquiring the Oculus Rift leads me to believe that this is something that could actually eventually go mainstream. I have loved the idea of the Oculus Rift. The one major concern was always, is this just going to be a little niche product? Is it going to be something that costs $1,000, $1,500 and will never reach mass appeal? if this actually is something that is going to be successful, it was inevitably going to have to be acquired by some giant entity with a lot of money, something like Facebook. Again, Facebook is weird because we're looking at the Oculus Rift as a gaming thing and we're trying to connect the dots and we're just not seeing how it's working there. They obviously have their own ideas for the Oculus Rift. Does this mean the Oculus Rift isn't going to be as big into gaming as we had hoped? Maybe, but this means that other VR technology is likely to spring up. We are already seeing more and more companies come out with VR headsets pretty much identical to what we see in the Oculus Rift. So whatever your concerns may be about Facebook acquiring the Oculus Rift and what that means for the Oculus Rift and whether or not it's going to push it away from gaming and more into the virtual classroom and all of these other VR applications, do be aware that this is good for VR technology, period. To have such high stakes interest, to have such a company with so much money wanting to have access to this and wanting to control it means that we might actually see VR headset style technology in the mass market at an affordable price, because again, that's really the only way that that would happen. We need something with money to be able to put money behind the manufacturing of this stuff for cheap cost and all that, businessy stuff behind it. It requires money to actually do that. And yes, they raised a bunch of money through Kickstarter, but that's not the kind of money we're talking about. Big money. Big money. So yes, Facebook acquired Oculus Rift. Yes, that's kind of weird, but at the same time, it could bode very well for the future of VR. Also, side note, talking about acquisitions, Maker Studios, the company that basically is the network that I am under on YouTube, that was purchased by Disney. Don't really know what that means. Nothing's come down the pipeline in terms of structural reorganization or what that could mean for us as content producers, people like myself and PewDiePie and Total Biscuit, other big names in this same network. Don't really know what Disney purchasing that is going to have in terms of effects on us. We'll have to wait and see. But that's going to do it, guys, for today's episode of The Force Feed. As always, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned this coming Friday for another episode of the show. Once again, this has been Force, and you have just been Force Fed. Time to hop in The Elder Scrolls 7. Fantastic. Let's put on our VR headset. No, I don't want to check recent posts. I don't care that it's her birthday. Don't tell me that you're on the toilet. God damn it, Facebook.